Hey guys, today I want to share with you 25 things that most people forget to declutter. And something that I've noticed is that for many people, as they're decluttering their lives and simplifying their homes, there are certain items that they'll just forget to declutter. And sometimes it's because they're intentionally making excuses for those items, but other times it just didn't cross their minds that it's an area of excess in their lives that they should consider reducing and simplifying in. So today I want to share with you exactly what those 25 items are so that hopefully you can identify any that might still be in your life and simplify by decluttering those items. And really quick, before we get started, I did just quickly want to announce that I have just released a decluttering guide that's going to walk you through step-by-step exactly how to declutter your home and go from chaos to calm. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'll have all of that information linked up in the description box below, and I'll talk about it a bit more towards the end of the video. But let's dive in now. Here are 25 things that most people forget to declutter. Let's start off with the first one, and this is a big one that most people will forget to do, and that is to declutter their digital pictures. Oftentimes when we're thinking about things to declutter from our lives, we focus a lot on the physical things around us. And digital pictures, whether that's on our phone or our computers, we don't think about them as much because they're not taking up physical space. But they certainly are an area of excess in many of our lives. Now, pictures can be a great memory, but if you're holding on to too many of them, that actually dilutes their worth. So I highly recommend taking some time to go through and delete any superfluous or duplicate pictures and keep only the ones that you want to be able to look back on years from now. Moving on, number 2 is to declutter your computer and external hard drives. And once again, because they're not taking up physical space, we often forget to go through and reduce the amount of clutter that we have built up in these areas. Whether it's old files, your downloads folder, videos, pictures, or even school assignments from a degree you've long since graduated from. If you've built up clutter in your digital space over the past several years, taking time to delete what's no longer relevant or necessary is a great way to add simplicity and intentionality to the time that you spend on your devices. Number 3 is one that I don't think people forget so much as they tend to make excuses for, and that's for reusable items that we label as eco-friendly. So there are a lot of things that can fit into this umbrella of eco-friendly items, whether that's metal straws, glass containers, reusable bags, but whatever it is, we need to make sure that we're not owning more of those items than we actually use and need. Just because something might be better for the environment doesn't mean that you're actually using it. Maybe you're not a straw person, but for whatever reason, you have 8 different reusable straws lying around your house. Figure out what reusable items you actually use on a regular basis and what is extra, what you have more of than you need, and get rid of those items. Number 4 is another big one. Used calendars and planners are things that we often hold on to for no particular reason. It's not that they're overly sentimental. It's not like a journal where we're keeping a part of our soul in there. They're literally just things that we use to plan our days, and yet many of us feel like we should hold on to them even after they're no longer relevant. If you've been hoarding calendars or planners over the past several years, now is the time to get rid of them. They're no longer serving you. You got their useful value out of them, and now it's time to let them go. Let's talk about number 5, and that is unused spices. Many of us have a collection of spices that came in a kit, or we'll go out and buy a bunch of stock spices when we first move into an apartment and think that we're going to use every single one of them. The problem with this is that most of the time we have a core number of spices that we enjoy using and cooking with, and then the rest of them just kind of end up getting left to the wayside to be used maybe once a year. If you have spices that you rarely or never use, now's the time to identify them and let them go. You're not using them, and so there's no real point in holding on to them. Number 6 is one that was an absolute game changer for me, and that is non-functional or flat throw pillows. I would always get annoyed having to throw the throw pillows off of my bed only to put them back on the next morning, until one day I realized I don't actually need them. Throw pillows definitely can be functional if you're using them for something like lumbar or neck support, but if you have throw pillows that are purely decorative, or even worse, they're flat and they're not providing you with the lumbar support or neck support that you need, they're not being useful to you. They're not giving you value, and it's best just to let them go. Number 7 is an interesting one, and that is hats. And here's the thing, some people are hats people. They love and enjoy wearing hats regularly. But many of us aren't. We rarely wear hats, if ever, and don't particularly enjoy wearing them either. If that sounds like you, you might want to consider decluttering your hats completely, minus maybe keeping one practical one for cold weather. But sometimes I think it's important that we'll be honest with ourselves about what we actually wear and what we don't. And it's important that we recognize maybe that's just a category of clothing that we don't wear. and it's best just to get rid of those items. And so that's something that's true of hats, but it's also something that's true for number 8, which is scarves. Some people, once again, pull off scarves and look incredible in them and wear them regularly. Other people, like myself, simply don't. I'll wear scarves occasionally for functional purposes, but summer scarves and silk scarves just aren't something that I put on to wear. So just consider if this is something that's true of you, and if it is, consider maybe getting rid of this category entirely, or keeping 1 or 2 scarves for functional purposes, but getting rid of the rest. Number 9 is a simple one, but it's one that I encourage you to actually take action on, and that's to get rid of your single earrings. I think that sometimes when we lose an earring, we can hold on to the other for months and sometimes even years, thinking one day I'm going to find it. And while there's nothing wrong with holding on to that earring in case you do actually find it for a couple days, weeks, maybe even a month, beyond that point, the chances that you're actually going to come across that earring dwindle rapidly. So if you have earrings that have been orphaned for months or even years, it's time to let go of them. Realize that you're probably never going to find the match, and it's okay to move on. Number 10, have you remembered to declutter your expired or dead batteries? And this is one that, because we often lump them in with our good batteries, many people forget to declutter. But I promise you, keeping them around is just a source of irritation and confusion. The faster you can get these out of your life, the better. Number 11 is excess or unused gift bags and wrapping paper. Consider what of this you actually need and are realistically going to use. But if you have hordes of wrapping paper stored away somewhere, chances are you're never going to go through all of it. Likewise, if you have gift bags that you've reused over the years, chances are some of them aren't looking too hot anymore. Figure out which ones might be superfluous for you that you're not actually going to end up reusing, and get rid of those items. Number 12 is unused or underused subscription services, and it always amazes me when I come across people who have subscription services that they either forgot that they were paying for each month, or they rarely ever use them. And that's money that's going out of your wallet every single month. And so it's important that you figure out where your money is going, what subscription services you have, and keep only the ones you actually use and get value from. Number 13 is unused cords and adapters, and if you're like many people, you probably have some of these stored away in your house somewhere. Go through those cords and adapters, figure out if you actually need them, if you have too many, or maybe you have some cords that go to electronics that you don't actually even own anymore. Whatever the case, go through these cords and cables, figure out what you don't need, and then try to find an option for recycling these items in your area. Okay, number 14, I love this one, and it is to declutter your surfaces. The key to being able to permanently reduce the clutter that you have is to get rid of the surfaces that you tend to store clutter on. If you have an empty bookshelf or an empty table, it's going to accumulate knickknacks and clutter. So getting rid of the surfaces themselves is a fantastic way to be able to permanently reduce the clutter in your home. The apps on your phone is number 15, and if you have any games on your phone that cause you to waste time, or social media that aren't serving you, or maybe it's shopping apps that you tend to spend too much time scrolling on and making impulse purchasing decisions on. Whatever the case is, if you have iPhone apps that are not contributing to your being able to use your phone more intentionally, it's time to delete them, get them off of your phone. If you make a mistake and later need an app, you can always re-download it, but the more you can create simplicity on this space and intentionality, the more efficiently and purposefully you're going to be able to use your phone. Number 16 is a quick one. If you have wire hangers that you've been given from a dry cleaner's or a tailor's when you've had items altered or cleaned, chances are they gave you your items back on an awful metal hanger that's actually going to damage your clothing. Try returning those to your local dry cleaners if that's a possibility, but ultimately you want to be making sure that you're not storing your clothing on these hangers and that you're getting them out of your closet, because they're actually going to be damaging your clothing. Number 17 is one that slips past the attention of many people, and that is to declutter your furniture. Oftentimes the bigger items in our space just kind of naturally become a part of the way we perceive our homes. But that doesn't necessarily mean that furniture is actually being used and that it's intentional for you. Just take a quick inventory of your home and make sure that all the items of furniture you have are actually serving a functional purpose, that they're actually being used for something practical. And if you have any furniture that's not actually being used, you can either try to donate or sell these items. Number 18 is old prescription glasses and sunglasses, and if your prescription has changed, keeping your old glasses or sunglasses around the house is only going to serve to confuse you. Using them is actually going to be straining your eyes, so it's not something that you want to keep around. And decluttering them is a simple thing you can do to have just one less thing hanging around your home. Number 19 is unnecessary tax paperwork. And we have a tendency of holding on to tax paperwork far longer than we actually need to. So figure out what in your country that date is where you no longer necessarily need to keep as stringent of files, and you can get rid of anything from before that point. And on top of that, you might have extra pages or files that you've used for more recent taxes that aren't actually necessary documentation that you need to keep around. So figure out if you have anything that's too old or that you have maybe extra pieces of. It's an easy way to simplify the amount of paperwork that you have on hand, and isn't that something that we all want in our lives? Number 20 is your email inbox and spam folder. When was the last time that you actually went through and read every single email that you had, or at least deleted the ones that weren't necessary? No, you don't need to do this super regularly, but every once in a while, as you notice the clutter building up in your email inbox, it can be really helpful to sort through it and delete anything that is not needed. And I promise you, when you have an organized and decluttered inbox, it's going to be so much faster and more painless to actually go through the emails that you get every day. Number 21 is repair pieces and parts for items that you no longer even own. And oftentimes when we buy a shirt, it will come with extra buttons, or a piece of furniture and it will come with some extra screws. And that's fantastic, and those items can be helpful if you actively own the item. But if you've decluttered that item, or you don't even remember what piece of furniture those spare parts belong to, it's definitely time to go through those spare pieces and parts that you have on hand and get rid of any that aren't actually going to be able to be used by you. A couple more left here. Number 22 is cleaning rags. And if you have a tendency to turn every old t-shirt that you declutter into a cleaning rag, you might have this problem. Figure out how many cleaning rags you need and use on a regular basis. Maybe if you want to, add a couple extras for when those wear out, but get rid of the rest. There's definitely such a thing as holding on to too many cleaning rags, so don't fall into this trap. Number 23 is bumper stickers, and this might include having too many on your car or ones that are no longer relevant. Do you have a baby on board sign, then don't have a baby anymore? Might be time to get rid of that one. And then also, if you have bumper stickers that you've been given at various points that you never actually have used or plan on using, it's time to either put them on your car if you want that, or get rid of them. This one is a bit more broad, but it is still so important that we pay attention to, and that's to declutter anything on your budget that isn't serving you. When we talk about simplifying our lives, removing the excess from how we're spending our money is so important to consider. Not only is it going to help us to be able to save money, but it's just also a more responsible and intentional way of looking at the resources that we have. And then finally, and this one is so huge, and that is anything that's been waiting too long to be sold. Oftentimes we can have dreams of selling things that we're wanting to declutter, but at the end of the day, if those items aren't selling, we can only wait so long before we need to make the decision to move on and get those items out of our lives for good. So if you've been waiting for a long time for something to sell that hasn't sold, it's time to simply write it off as a loss, learn the lesson, don't make the mistake to purchase it again next time, and move on. Okay guys, we made it to the end. Those are 25 things that most people either put off decluttering or forget entirely to declutter. I hope that this was helpful for you and that it gave you some ideas and inspiration on maybe a few areas that you might have overlooked when decluttering your home. If that's true, definitely be sure to take action on them. And if you're currently in the process of decluttering, or even just looking to get started, I'm so excited to announce that my new ebook, The Simple Guide to Decluttering Your Home, just went live. In it, I walk through my exact process of how to declutter your home step by step in a way that takes the mystery out of decluttering and gives you a simple and straightforward plan to go from clutter to calm. So I really think you guys are going to get a ton of value from this ebook. And during this first week that the ebook is live, I'm offering it up to you guys for only $7.99. That's more than 20% off of the full price, so I really encourage you guys to take advantage of this offer. So if you're in the process of decluttering your home or wanting to simplify your life, be sure to check that ebook out. I will have all of the details about it linked up in the description box below. So scroll down, check it out. It would mean so much to me, and I really think that this is something that you'll get a ton of value from. So click the link below to learn more, or you can go to ashlynneaton.com/ebooks. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know what is an area that you may have forgotten to declutter. I would love to hear about it, but that's everything I have for you today though, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you check out that ebook, definitely thank you so much. That means the world to me. I love you all so much though. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Happy decluttering.